Breaking news, there's now a moderate risk for severe weather down in Texas. So there was talk about it probably happening. Well, it happened. Hello, I am Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and let's go ahead and get over and talk about this real quickly so we can get everything out. Alright, so this is the moderate risk area right here. It now encompasses the city of Austin. It's just outside of Waco. It's a little ways away from Houston, but it's here. This is the moderate risk. The enhanced risk continues, and now the city of Houston is back in it. Same with the DFW area. It's always been the enhanced risk area, quite frankly, but still. The main change is this moderate risk right here. And quite frankly, there was talk about this happening. In fact, some of the models I looked at, because the Zero-Z HER model had it at going really aggressive, and they said they might warrant it. The 12Z pretty much confirmed that and a little bit more. And when I mean a little bit more, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. There is now a 15% tornado threat in that hatched area, which means there's now 15% chance of EF2 to EF5 tornadoes within 25 miles of a point. So, yeah, some potentially large tornadoes are possible. The wind threat has really ramped up to 45%, and now there's a 45% significant severe in here as well, which means there's the potential of 65 knots or 75 miles per hour within 25 miles of a point, the winds. And the hail threat, this is a really large threat right here. Basically, if the tornado threat's the biggest threat in Mississippi right now, the hail threat is the biggest threat in Texas. So, just basically, there is a hatched area all the way out through pretty much most of the Texas cities in eastern Texas. Wichita Falls, Dallas, Waco, Austin, Houston, those areas. And look how far it goes out. It encompasses all of the 45%, it encompasses all the 30%, and it encompasses even some of the 15% as well. So you can tell this storm is not kidding around. This complex isn't kidding around. Things are going to start ramping up very soon, and at that point, just things are going to go down really fast. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the synopsis of this. This discussion is from earlier. I was waiting till 3 o'clock for it to update to see if the map would change at all or anything. But yeah, this is the previous discussion. Northwest to south central Texas and southern Oklahoma right here. Having introduced a moderate risk for portions of central and east central Texas centered on late this afternoon and evening, including parts of the I-35 and 45 corridors. Expectations are for an initially semi-discrete, this just updated, discrete supercellular mode with very large hail and some tornado potential, transitioning by evening into a potential for very large hail and damaging winds and tornadoes as storms spread east-northeastward with a more complex convective mode gradually evolving. At midday, a closed upper trough continues to pivot eastward, centered along the southern New Mexico and far northeast and nearby far northern Mexico, with the exit region of a strong upper mid jet 90 plus knots at 500 millibars, beginning to overspread central and east Texas. Cloud cover remains persistent at midday within the warm sector, but this sheltering / inhibited mixing is a contributing factor to the quick northeastward westward advection of the moist air mass. 70 degrees surface dew points that has already become increasing and well established across parts of south central and southeast Texas. As robust mid-level DCVA occurs with a shortwave impulse ejecting out of the basal portion of an amplified trough, the surface-based thunderstorm development is initially anticipated early to mid-afternoon near the Triple Point cyclone and arsing south along the dry line during the late afternoon across portions of central and south central Texas. Cooling 500 millibar temperatures and steep mid-level lapse rates should foster potential for a few semi-discrete supercells along this upper portion of the upper Red River Valley. Excuse me. Severe hail and brief tornadoes will probably be the main hazard as convection likely spreads to a far less favorable environment in the northern extent of Oklahoma. Convection further southeast and south into north central to South Central Texas will have a progressively larger warm/moist sector ahead of the dry line, with Cape likely to reach 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram in conjunction with an approaching 80 knot 500 millibar speed max. Several supercells should develop with a primary initial threat of very large hail. So, at this point, I said this earlier, the main threat's very large hail. It's basically wording this again in the synopsis. The bulk of the guidance suggests low-level jet will shift east-northeastward during the evening, which suggests that low-level hydrograph curvature and attendant SRH, while adequate for tornadoes, may not be precautionarily large for supercell initially initiating along the dry line. Nevertheless, the potential remains apparent for a couple of long-track supercells emanating from near the I-35 corridor in south central Texas, in northeastward parts of East Texas. So, yeah, that's why they issued this moderate risk. The HRRR had some supercells, some potentially long-track supercells going on, and the models were pretty much held, and that's what warranted this moderate risk right here. So this is basically the new update. There's not very much of a change in Mississippi, so we're not going to talk about that until later. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this update right here. I hope this informed you about what's going on. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. It'll help get more people informed about what's going on. But until that time, have a wonderful day, guys. And if you're in Texas, please, please, please stay safe.